If you think modern medicine has your back, think again. For centuries, nature has provided powerful remedies, safe, effective, and often free. But somewhere along the way, these secrets got buried under billions of dollars in pharmaceutical marketing. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain. We're talking about 5 natural medicines so potent they could change your health and why Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about them. Let's separate fact from myth, science from sales, and give power back to why. Let me take you back for a moment. Thousands of years before pharmacies, before glossy ads for pills, before ask your doctor became a marketing slogan. There was a time when the doctor's office was the forest, the field, and the garden. People didn't reach for a synthetic tablet. They reached for leaves, roots, seeds, and bark. These remedies weren't exotic. They were everyday life. If you had a headache, your grandmother knew which plant could soothe it. If you had an infection, the village healer had something in her pouch to fight it. And here's the part the modern world conveniently forgets. Many of those natural remedies actually worked, and they still do. Now, somewhere along the way, we decided that old men outdated. We put our faith entirely in lab, made solutions, assuming that modern automatically meant better. But here's the twist. Modern medicine didn't reinvent healing from scratch. It borrowed heavily from nature. Aspirin, it came from willow bark. Digitalis for heart conditions, derived from foxglove. Even chemotherapy, drugs like paclitaxel originated from plants. So the irony is, the roots of our most powerful medications are quite literally roots. But as pharmaceutical science advanced, something else happened. Control shifted. If a plant grows freely, anyone can use it. If a remedy can't be patented, it can't be turned into an exclusive billion-dollar product. That's not just speculation, it's how the system works. Companies have to protect their investments, and that means prioritizing treatments they can legally own. Suddenly, nature became competition. The herbal knowledge that had been passed down for centuries was no longer profitable, and without profit, it quickly became unproven, alternative, or unscientific in the eyes of the mainstream. Here's the problem with that narrative. It assumes the absence of research equals the absence of effectiveness. But research requires funding, and funding follows profit. A turmeric root or a handful of chamomile flowers doesn't have a marketing department. There's no boardroom pushing for million-dollar trials. So even if a plant has powerful, measurable health benefits, you might never hear about it because it doesn't fit the economic model of the pharmaceutical industry. Meanwhile, there's a quiet revolution happening. Scientists, often working in smaller labs or through independent funding, are starting to test these remedies again. And they're finding that the wisdom of our ancestors wasn't superstition. It was observation, refined over generations. We're seeing studies confirm that certain herbs reduce inflammation, strengthen immunity, regulate blood sugar, and improve mental clarity. These aren't vague claims anymore. They're measurable effects. And yet, the perception problem persists. If you walk into a drugstore, the herbal supplement aisle looks like the alternative corner, like it's optional or fringe. But think about this, in many parts of the world, herbal medicine is still the first line of defense. In India, Ayurveda isn't a boutique wellness trend. It's an integral part of healthcare. In China, traditional Chinese medicine is practiced alongside modern hospitals. They didn't abandon their roots when modern science came along. They merged them. Here in the West, we largely replaced instead of integrated, and that's a huge loss. I'm not saying every herbal remedy is a miracle cure. Some are overhyped, some are ineffective, and some can be dangerous if used incorrectly. But dismissing the entire field because of a few bad examples is like banning all pharmaceuticals because of one faulty drug. The right approach is to apply rigorous science to what nature already offers, to test, refine, and understand how these remedies work. The potential here isn't small. In fact, the World Health Organization estimates that up to 80% of the global population still relies on herbal medicines for primary health care. That's billions of people whose health depends on knowledge we're letting slip through our fingers. The truth is, herbal medicine isn't making a comeback. It never left. It's been quietly doing its job in the background while modern medicine took the spotlight. The difference now is that people are starting to ask more questions. They're realizing that maybe, just maybe, the old ways had some truth to them. And once you open that door, you can't unsee it, which is why today, more than ever, we need to bring herbal wisdom back into the conversation. Not as a nostalgic nod to the past, but as a forward-thinking, science-backed approach to health. Because the future of medicine isn't just in the lab, it's still growing in the ground. If there's one spice that has managed to bridge the gap between grandma's kitchen and cutting-edge medical research, it's turmeric. This bright golden powder has been a staple in traditional cooking and medicine for thousands of years, especially in South Asia. People have used it for everything from soothing joint pain to aiding digestion, often without fully understanding why it worked, only that it did. Today, we know the reason behind its magic lies in one compound, curcumin. And curcumin is turning out to be one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories we've ever discovered. Inflammation is a tricky thing. On one hand, it's a natural defense mechanism, your body's way of fighting off infection and repairing damage. On the other, when it runs wild, it becomes the root cause of many chronic illnesses, arthritis, heart disease, Alzheimer's, even certain cancers. And here's where curcumin comes in. Research has shown that it can block key molecules that drive inflammation in the body, in some cases performing as effectively as certain anti-inflammatory drugs, but without the list of side effects that often accompany those prescriptions. That should be huge news, right? A safe, natural compound that can help reduce inflammation and possibly prevent long-term disease. But here's the catch: the pharmaceutical industry can't patent turmeric in its natural form, and without that exclusivity, there's little financial incentive to push large-scale clinical trials or promote it to the public. Instead, what we see are endless commercials for painkillers and anti-inflammatory drugs, many of which bring with them risks of stomach ulcers, kidney issues, and long-term complications. Of course, turmeric isn't a magic bullet. One of the challenges with curcumin is that it's not easily absorbed by the body. You could sprinkle turmeric over your food every day and still only get a fraction of its benefits, unless you know the trick. Studies have found that pairing curcumin with piperine, a compound found in black pepper, can increase absorption by up to 2,000%. And that's where the beauty of traditional knowledge comes in again. In many Indian dishes, turmeric and black pepper are cooked together, not because anyone was running lab tests centuries ago, but because generations of observation taught them what worked best. The modern wellness industry has caught on, and now you'll see turmeric supplements on shelves everywhere. But not all are created equal. Some use low-quality turmeric powder with negligible curcumin content. Others skip the black pepper entirely, rendering the supplement far less effective. And this is why education matters. If people understood how to use turmeric properly, how to combine it with fats and black pepper, how to take it consistently, they could potentially replace or reduce their reliance on certain medications for inflammation and pain. But imagine what that would mean for sales of over-the-counter painkillers. Imagine how much the demand for certain prescription drugs could drop. This isn't just a health decision, it's an economic one. And in a system where profit drives priorities, natural solutions often get pushed to the side unless they can be turned into proprietary formulas. That's why we see pharmaceutical companies investing in synthetic versions of curcumin, molecules they can patent and sell, while the raw, natural form remains quietly tucked away in the spice aisle. Still, turmeric is finding its way into more conversations, and science is slowly catching up to tradition. Clinical trials have shown its potential not only in reducing arthritis symptoms, but also in improving brain health. Some studies suggest it could help increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a type of growth hormone that functions in the brain, possibly delaying or even reversing age-related cognitive decline. Others are exploring its role in lowering the risk of heart disease by improving the function of the endothelium, the lining of blood vessels. All of this makes one thing clear. This isn't just a kitchen spice. It's a serious medicinal tool with the potential to change lives if used correctly. And it's something most of us already have access to. You don't need a prescription to start using turmeric. You don't need to wait for a pharmaceutical company to tell you it's okay. You just need to know how to use it in a way your body can truly benefit from. And maybe that's what makes it so powerful. It's not locked away in a lab. It's not guarded by patents or available only to those who can afford high-priced treatments. It's right there in the open, bright, golden, and quietly challenging the idea that healing must always come from a bottle with a brand name. If you've ever felt like stress is slowly chipping away at your energy, your focus, and your ability to enjoy life, you're not alone. Stress has become so normal that many of us treat it like background noise, something we just live with. But here's the reality: chronic stress isn't just a feeling. It's a chemical storm inside your body. It pushes your cortisol levels up, messes with your sleep, weakens your immune system, and over time, it can lead to serious health problems. And yet, in the rush to treat the symptoms, anxiety, fatigue, poor sleep, we often forget to ask the bigger question: what if there was a natural way to help the body handle stress before it wreaks havoc? That's where ashwagandha comes in. This ancient herb has been a cornerstone of Ayurvedic medicine for over 3,000 years, praised for its ability to help the body adapt to stress. Today, we call it an adaptogen, a category of natural substances that help bring balance to our stress response system. And what's fascinating about ashwagandha is it doesn't just mask the symptoms of stress, it actually helps regulate the systems that cause those symptoms in the first place. Think about what happens when you're under pressure. Your adrenal glands start pumping out cortisol and adrenaline, getting you ready for fight or flight. That's useful in short bursts, but when it's happening day after day, your body stays in a state of constant alert. That's exhausting. Studies on ashwagandha have shown that it can lower cortisol levels significantly, sometimes by as much as 30%, helping your body return to a healthier baseline. That means better sleep, steadier energy, and a calmer mind without the crash you get from quick fixes like caffeine or alcohol. But this is where the conversation gets interesting. If something as simple as a plant root can help balance stress hormones, improve mental clarity, and even boost endurance, why isn't a standard part of mainstream treatment for stress and anxiety? Part of it is cultural. In the West, we're used to targeting symptoms. Take a pill for anxiety, a different pill for insomnia, another for fatigue. That model fits neatly into the pharmaceutical system. Ashwagandha, on the other hand, works more like a gentle rebalancer. It doesn't produce an instant hit the way a sedative or stimulant does. Its effects build over time, which doesn't align well with a quick prescription, instant relief mindset. And then there's the issue of money. You can't patent the raw plant. Anyone can grow it, harvest it, and sell it. That makes it a tough sell for companies looking to invest in large-scale marketing or expensive clinical trials. And so, despite the growing pile of scientific evidence supporting its benefits, ashwagandha stays mostly in the background, known to herbalists and wellness enthusiasts, but rarely discussed in your average doctor's office. That's not to say it's perfect or that it works the same for everyone. Like any supplement, quality matters. There are different forms: root powder, root extract, capsules, tinctures, and the potency can vary widely depending on how it's grown and processed. The research often uses standardized extracts containing a specific concentration of active compounds called withanolides, which means grabbing any random bottle off the shelf may not give you the same results you've read about. This is why being informed is so important. And beyond stress, the potential benefits go even deeper. Some studies suggest ashwagandha can improve strength and recovery in athletes, support healthy testosterone levels in men, and even enhance memory and cognitive function. There's also research into its ability to support thyroid health, which plays a big role in regulating energy and mood. It's not a cure-all, but it's a reminder that sometimes nature has already provided us with tools to address complex problems in a simple way. Still, the biggest impact may come from the fact that ashwagandha empowers you to take control of your stress instead of feeling controlled by it. In a world where burnout feels like an unavoidable part of life, that's no small thing. And maybe that's the point. Real health isn't about silencing symptoms for a few hours. It's about creating resilience so that your body and mind can handle whatever life throws at you. Because the truth is, when your stress is under control, everything else gets better. If you've ever walked through a dense forest and noticed mushrooms sprouting from the ground or clinging to tree trunks, you might not have realized you were looking at some of the most potent natural medicines on the planet. For centuries, medicinal mushrooms have been used in places like China, Japan, and Siberia as both food and healing tools. They weren't just valued for their flavor. They were prized for their ability to strengthen the body, boost resilience, and even help fight off serious illnesses. What's remarkable is that now modern science is starting to confirm what ancient healers already knew: these fungi are far more than a side dish. The unique power of medicinal mushrooms lies in their bioactive compounds, things like beta-glucans, triterpenes, and antioxidants. These aren't just chemical buzzwords. They have real effects inside the body. Beta-glucans, for example, can stimulate and regulate the immune system, making it more responsive when you need it and calmer when it's overreacting. This means they can help you ward off infections, but also help with conditions linked to inflammation. And unlike synthetic drugs that tend to push the immune system in one direction, mushrooms have this balancing effect that works more in harmony with the body. Take reishi, often called the mushroom of immortality, in traditional Chinese medicine. It's been used for over 2,000 years to promote vitality, reduce stress, and improve sleep. Modern studies suggest it can support heart health, regulate blood pressure, and even enhance immune function in people with compromised systems. Then there's lion's mane, a shaggy-looking mushroom that's turning heads in neuroscience. Compounds in lion's mane may actually stimulate the growth of new nerve cells, which could help with memory, focus, and recovery from nervous system injuries. Chaga, another medicinal mushroom, is packed with antioxidants, more than almost any other food, which helps protect cells from oxidative damage and supports long-term health. What's fascinating is that even space agencies have taken notice. NASA has looked into using certain mushrooms as a sustainable food and medicine source for astronauts on long missions. Think about that. When you're planning to send humans millions of miles from Earth, you start looking for the most reliable, nutrient-dense, health-protecting resources possible, and mushrooms make the shortlist. That tells you something. So why don't we hear about medicinal mushrooms more often in mainstream healthcare? The answer, once again, comes back to awareness, culture, and economics. In Eastern countries, mushrooms like reishi and shiitake have been part of everyday wellness for generations, and they're respected as legitimate medicinal tools. In the West, mushrooms were historically seen mostly as food, and the idea of using them medicinally didn't take root in the same way. Plus, as with many natural remedies, you can't patent a wild mushroom, and that limits the commercial drive to invest in large-scale promotion or research. That said, interest is growing fast. You can now find mushroom extracts powders and capsules in health stores and online, but quality matters enormously here. The benefits come from specific compounds that are most concentrated in the fruiting body, the part we recognize as the mushroom, not just the mycelium or root-like structures. Some cheaper products use mostly mycelium grown on grain, which dilutes the potency. This is where education is crucial, because knowing how to choose the right form can make the difference between a supplement that works and one that's just marketing. There's also the issue of expectations. Medicinal mushrooms tend to work gradually, supporting the immune system, nervous system, and overall vitality over weeks and months, rather than giving an immediate, dramatic effect. That's not a flaw, that's how true resilience is built. And once you experience the difference, you realize it's not about chasing quick fixes, it's about building long-term health in a way that feels sustainable. The truth is, mushrooms occupy this fascinating space between food and medicine. They're not a pill you take when you're sick, they're something you incorporate into your life so you stay healthier for longer. And in a world where chronic illness is rising, where immune systems are constantly under strain, and where stress wears us down faster than ever, that's exactly the kind of solution we need more of. Because sometimes the key to a longer, healthier life isn't hiding in a high-tech lab. It's quietly growing in the shade of the forest, waiting for us to pay attention. If there's one natural remedy that's as mysterious as it is powerful, it's black seed oil, known in ancient texts as the cure for everything but death. This deep amber oil has been treasured for over 2,000 years. It's been found in the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, referenced in prophetic traditions, and used in cultures from the Middle East to North Africa for everything from digestive health to skin care. When you hear a claim like cure for everything, it's easy to dismiss it as folklore or exaggeration, but modern science is starting to reveal why this humble seed has earned such a legendary reputation. Black seed oil comes from the seeds of Nigella sativa, a flowering plant that produces small, crescent-shaped black seeds with a peppery, slightly bitter taste. The magic lies in its unique chemical makeup, particularly a compound called thymoquinone. This compound has been studied for its anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antimicrobial properties, and the results are nothing short of fascinating. We're talking about the potential to help reduce blood sugar levels, support healthy cholesterol, ease inflammation, and even inhibit the growth of certain harmful bacteria and viruses. What makes black seed oil so intriguing is its versatility. Inflammation, for example, is at the root of so many chronic diseases, from arthritis to heart problems. Thymoquinone's anti-inflammatory effects mean that black seed oil could play a role in easing pain and swelling without the side effects often seen in pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories. Its antioxidant capacity helps neutralize free radicals, those unstable molecules that cause cellular damage, slowing down the aging process from the inside out. And when it comes to immunity, black seed oil seems to act as both a shield and a repair crew, protecting the body from invaders while helping it recover faster. Of course, the skeptic in you might ask, if it's so good, why isn't everyone using it? The answer, once again, ties back to economics and awareness. Black seed oil is inexpensive to produce, widely available, and impossible to patent in its natural form. That makes it a poor candidate for large-scale pharmaceutical investment. Without big marketing campaigns or sponsored research, it simply doesn't get the same public exposure as a branded drug. Instead, it lives in the shadows, well known in certain cultures, virtually unheard of in others. But the people who use it consistently often swear by it. There are countless personal stories of improved digestion, clearer skin, stronger hair, and reduced allergy symptoms. While anecdotes aren't the same as clinical proof, they point to an important truth. Traditional remedies that survive for centuries usually do so because they work for enough people to be worth passing down. And now, scientific research is beginning to back up many of those traditional uses, adding credibility to what was once dismissed as old world superstition. The beauty of black seed oil is that it can be used in multiple ways. You can take it orally in small doses for internal benefits, apply it topically for skin conditions, or even use it mixed with other oils for hair health. It's not a cure, all in the literal sense. No single substance can do everything, but it is a remarkably broad spectrum natural aid that addresses multiple systems in the body at once. That's part of why it stands out. Instead of targeting one symptom or one organ, it works more holistically, nudging the body toward balance. The challenge is that quality matters. Not all black seed oil is the same. The best versions are cold pressed, organic, and come from fresh seeds. Poor quality oils can lose their potency or contain contaminants that undermine their benefits. And like any potent natural remedy, dosage matters too. Taking more isn't always better. It's about consistent, appropriate use over time. For those who have experienced its effects, black seed oil isn't just another supplement. It's part of their daily health ritual. In a way, it's the perfect example of what happens when nature provides something so powerful, so accessible, and so affordable that it threatens the need for more expensive alternatives, which is probably why it hasn't been championed in the mainstream as loudly as it deserves. Because sometimes the most extraordinary medicine doesn't need a fancy label or a billion-dollar ad campaign. It just needs to be rediscovered. When we talk about natural medicines, the conversation often circles back to a frustrating reality. The biggest barrier isn't whether these remedies work, it's whether the system will let them be seen. Big Pharma operates in a world where patents and profit margins rule the game. If a medicine can be patented, marketed, and sold exclusively, it becomes worth millions, even billions. But if it's something that grows in the wild, something your grandmother could plant in her backyard, it doesn't fit the model. That's the heart of the tension between natural remedies and the pharmaceutical industry, not a lack of potential, but a lack of profit incentive. And that's where the narrative starts to shift. The public is told certain remedies are unproven or lacking evidence, but here's the truth: research requires funding, and funding follows the money. No company is going to pour millions into studying a plant or herb they can't own. So in the absence of large-scale trials, these remedies stay in the shadows, branded as alternative or fringe, even if centuries of use and smaller-scale studies show clear benefits. It's also a question of control. Pharmaceutical companies operate in a highly regulated environment, which isn't inherently bad. It keeps unsafe products off the shelves. But that same system can make it nearly impossible for a natural remedy to be recognized unless it jumps through the same expensive hoops as a new drug. And without the potential for exclusive ownership, no one's footing that bill. As a result, many of nature's most powerful medicines never make it past the gatekeepers. The irony is that a lot of modern drugs start as plant-based. Aspirin, for example, came from willow bark. The cancer drug paclitaxel came from the Pacific yew tree. Even morphine traces its origin to the opium poppy. Nature is the original laboratory, and modern science has been borrowing from it since the beginning. The difference is that once these natural compounds are isolated, modified, and patented, they become profitable products that can be marketed, prescribed, and sold at a premium. Meanwhile, the natural form often gets pushed aside. But this isn't just about industry, it's also about perception. We've been conditioned to think of natural medicine as less than, unless it comes with a prescription. If a doctor hands you a pill, it feels official. If a friend tells you to drink an herbal tea, it feels casual, maybe even unscientific. That's the mindset that needs to change. We should be asking, does it work? And is it safe? Instead of, does it come in a box from the pharmacy? The truth is, we don't have to choose between natural and modern medicine. They can complement each other. Some of the most effective healthcare systems in the world integrate both. In countries like China and India, herbal remedies are used alongside conventional treatments, giving patients more options and often fewer side effects. The problem in much of the Western world is that the system is set up to promote one and sideline the other, not because of efficacy, but because of economics. This is where individual responsibility comes in. We can't wait for big corporations to hand us the keys to natural health. They don't have a reason to. It's up to us to learn to question and to explore what's out there. That doesn't mean blindly trusting every claim about a miracle cure. It means being curious, looking for credible sources, and understanding how these remedies work so we can use them wisely. It also means recognizing the difference between lack of evidence and lack of research. When you hear that something hasn't been proven, that's not always the same as saying it doesn't work. Sometimes it just means no one with deep pockets has paid to prove it on a large scale. And while it's true that not every natural remedy will live up to the hype, dismissing them outright means we could be ignoring solutions that are safer, cheaper, and more sustainable than many of the options we're given. The future of health doesn't have to be an either or choice. We don't have to turn our backs on science to embrace nature, and we don't have to reject nature to benefit from modern medicine. The real goal should be to combine the best of both worlds, using the precision of science to validate and refine the gifts nature has already given us. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate form of healthcare is knowledge, and the more we know, the less power profit has over our well-being. So when you strip it all back, the story here isn't just about 5 natural medicines. It's about reclaiming the right to know what's possible for our health. For too long, the conversation has been shaped by what can be marketed, patented, and sold, while powerful, time-tested remedies have been tucked away in the margins. Turmeric, ashwagandha, medicinal mushrooms, black seed oil, they're not fads. They're part of a much larger truth. That nature has always been our first and most reliable pharmacy. Science doesn't need to replace that. It can shine a light on it, refine it, and make it safer and more effective. But the responsibility doesn't fall only on researchers or policymakers. It falls on us. We need to stay curious, to ask better questions, and to look beyond the limits of convenience and advertising. Our health isn't a one-size-fits-all prescription. It's a living, evolving relationship with our bodies and the world around us. When we combine the wisdom of nature with the rigor of modern science, we don't just treat illness, we build resilience, we prevent disease, and we take back a level of control that profit-driven systems would rather keep from us. Because in the end, the greatest medicine you can have is knowledge and the courage to use it.